in the Kiwi land. I hope Boa is, safe and well. And how are you doing, Boa? Hope everything's all right at your end.
Very well. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuning in, wherever you may be, right around the world. It's always nice to be on a drink with Charith. So today, I'm actually drinking water in a very large beer glass. I say, look, things are good. Things are good. Very fortunate here. We've been COVID-free quite a while now, and just keep an eye on what's going on pretty much around the world, particularly in Colombo, because that's where my parents are living. So I know you guys are doing a bit tough, but what do? You got to persist and kind of grind through this. But
True,
no,
true,
thank you, Charith.
man.
I'm
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Life goes on. These things happen. And big night yesterday, Boa. Despite what's happening around the world, and it's amazing to see that so much action in your part of the world, and Crusaders taking on the Chiefs. What a great final, mate. It's amazing. It appears as if we are living on two different planets. And Boa, I'm sure you enjoyed the rugby spectacle last night.
Oh, it was amazing, and pretty much the entire country of New Zealand came to a standstill whenever there's a big game of rugby. All the community sporting events usually they're brought an hour forward so that people have time to prepare for whatever or however they're going to watch the big game. So that was great. It was great. Crusaders 5 times or 5 straight titles, an absolute legacy. Amazing rugby, and that was good fanfare as well, as you would have seen some of the pictures beaming across the world. The post game, how the fans were interacting with each other, hanging around where the broadcast was, interacting with the players. So yeah, it was awesome, and it's we feel quite privileged to enjoy that sense of freedom in a pandemic ravaged world.
Amazing. That's exactly what I said. It feels like Boa. Seriously, man. Watching it, that you feel like that you're witnessing a grand spectacle happening in another planet. That people moving around so slowly, and they're so free, and they running around. Especially aftermath, what happened after the game. It was really to me that yes, the standard of rugby is fantastic, but besides that, the post that the interview after the game, that the opposing Chiefs captain, that how he spoke, how he gave all credit to the Crusaders winning, and how thankful he was, how grateful he was. I think those are the greatest thing to me in the sport. Apart from actually what happened in the middle, it was fantastic, Boa.
Look, bottom line is, look, at the end of the day, it's a game of rugby. I mean, there's a lot of passion for sport, particularly rugby. Rugby is the national pastime here in New Zealand. But there is more to life than a game of rugby. There's someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. The most deserving team of the entire tournament, the Crusaders, they won, and I think the Chiefs knew that. And they were very complimentary of how they played. And of course, as you rightly said, post game, how the fans are mixing and mingling. So particularly, talking about that, that actually took a lot of hard work. Everyone sticking to a plan, following very, very simple advice, or 3 pieces of advice, which we do religiously now anyway. Wash your hands, sanitize, wear a mask if you're particularly on public transport or in public, and if you're out and about, keep your physical distance. And if you don't feel comfortable, and if you don't really have to travel and go hang out and take a photo for Facebook or Instagram, don't do it. Stay at home. It's that simple. And that's really worked. So, not rocket science. Didn't try to do anything extraordinary. It was just, following real simple, basic guidelines. But of course, all that was set out very clearly by experts who we can trust and respect. And yeah, here we are.
What the wisdom, mate? Yeah, absolutely. I think what I gather, what you're saying is, be sensible at this point of time. There are no miracle cures for this. What we are going through. So just be sensible and face the situation, and just take it on and live sensibly. And I think the most simple advice that I can give it to any person at the moment: take care of yourself and take care of the others. And I mean, it's very simple, as if you're boarding a flight. Like it comes to security, what the simple instruction that are given to you always: before you attend to others, you attend to yourself first. I mean, if you take care of yourself to ensure that you are not exposed to any dodgy environments, and then that means you're ensuring that you're not going to pass it on to somebody else. So even if you have unfortunately, even I mean, if you got the infection, just make sure that stay at home, as you rightly said, and that you take care of the others. Simple as that. I think there is no other way out of it. Boa, there's something really fantastic I want to ask you about. I saw many people running around and literally crawling up onto the commentators, the interviewers, and no mask, running around. It's a different scenario here, mate. That a few days back, that's not what happened in Sri Lanka. Perhaps you would have seen that what happened to people who went around without mask, and they were literally abducted. That was pretty funny. Did you happen to see that, Boa?
I did. I think the entire world saw that, because that particular video, which looked like was actually shot by either
Boa, just I think Caryll is standby. Let me bring Caryll onto the stream. Caryll, hopefully that she was struggling without power. Let's see whether we can get Caryll online. Just hi, Caryll.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We're loud and clear.
Hey, Boa.
Hello, how are you?
Nice to see you, Boa.
And you.
I'm fine. I mean, I really envy you guys out in New Zealand, man. You got a woman in charge, and she's doing it right.
She's, here's
I had to get that in, okay?
well, there is a scientific rationale behind it. There's actually a piece of research which was done where countries and territories led by women are actually faring far better, far better.
Exactly, Sia. Thank you so much. I have to agree with you.
Well, I'm a man of science and numbers, so whatever I say is very objective. There is no bias or subjectivity. And
so I've been having an online fight with a guy who said that there's no misogyny in Sri Lanka. So I had to disagree with him.
There is.
But he totally disagrees with me that there is no misogyny. Huh?
There is around the world, and this is something you might actually.
He says there's no misogyny.
I'm going to tell you something which you might actually not know about. I'm actually a qualified educator with the ILO to do with instrument C190. So ratifying C190, which is a legal instrument or a convention which the International Labour Organization want to bring forward, which has to do with gender-based violence, so sexual harassment and violence against particularly women in the workplace. Yeah. So there's been a number of pieces of research carried out, particularly in Southeast Asia, and there's overwhelming evidence to support this. So if anyone is saying that there is no such thing as misogyny or gender-based discrimination or violence, you might as well give them an uppercut. Although don't quite literally do that, because that would be defeating the purpose.
Charith, you know that there was a case, Maharagama UC, where a woman slapped a man. Not just slapped, she actually beat up on him. I don't know the message behind it, but in the last 2 days, I don't know if you saw it, Boa, but it was at a I think Pradesh Sabha meeting or whatever, and this woman beat up on the guy. And of course, all the jokes were around town. Sri Lankans are very good at doing these memes. I wish they use their brains for something else, man. They come out with this real funny stuff. And I suppose that's how we live here in Sri Lanka, right, Charith?
Yes, we are. And just before you came online, that we were just about, I was asking Boa that if you happen to see it, Caryll, like what yesterday's rugby spectacle in New Zealand. Soon after the game was over, this thousands of spectators running onto the field and literally hugging the players and the commentators, and no masks, nothing. They're just moving around very freely, and there were no restrictions. I was just telling Boa what transpired in Sri Lanka a few days back, that people who went around masked. I don't know whether Caryll you saw it, how they were abducted and
I know. I mean, Boa, we have to have a sense of humor in this country to survive. I mean, Charith said this show should be about humor today because there's such crappy stuff happening. And yeah, you got to have a sense of humor to survive all this. I mean, it was like from a sci-fi movie, Charith. Suited guys, guys who are, of course, you have dingbats out there who are going maskless, especially in light of the fact that so many international visitors will have to come in here, and a lot of them from India, and some of them who were facilitated by known names, Charith, and brought in here, surreptitiously, I would think, to escape the COVID situation in India. And so, I mean, what are we asking for that? Aurudu, Siripada, climbing, all of that, I believe we have to learn to live with this for now, but then you have to take all the precautions to do that, right? So, yeah, some crazy crap going on here, Boa. You are living in boredom land compared to us.
I saw that. I think the rest of the world did. Look, I don't know whether to laugh or to cry, because initially I thought that was like a abduction scene from a movie.
Sci-fi, yeah, sci-fi, man.
And well, later on, what it looked like was some form of authority. I take it it's law enforcement, and I suppose the person shooting it is part of that as well. Yeah, well, the thing is, you can't really criminalize these things, and you can't treat your citizens like
so badly, No, the thing is, I think one thing is awareness, right? Awareness is key. So if you keep saying nothing's going on, nothing's wrong, people are going to take it as not too much is wrong. I think the awareness has to be spread that the mask is more important than even washing hands at this point, because it's supposed to be 100% airborne. And we every day here is a circus, Boa, whether it's the environment, whether it's the street harassment, whether it's COVID, whether it's whatever, politics, whatever. So I think we Sri Lankans have learned to tide ourselves over by making it a joke. That's why I don't know, Charith, whether you forward all the memes you get here to Boa.
Not all of them. Yeah, I mean,
they all arrive in my WhatsApp feed. So but first thing when I wake up in the morning, there's all these WhatsApp messages. So I just scroll through it, and yeah, it's a weird feeling, really, because you watch these videos. There's what is that saying? When truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, look, you have to feel for those people who are being quite literally uplifted and chucked on buses, because I mean, it defeats the whole purpose as well. Because think about it physically, if I'm assuming that they would have broken some kind of protocol and they are potentially carrying the coronavirus. So what about all the people around them who are not wearing masks? And what about the very place they go in? So more questions than answers. And
I don't think. I don't think we have the scope to actually house all these people. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, they gazetted something saying that it's illegal to not wear a mask. I think about 2 weeks ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone. And so I think that the whole thing is to get the message out there, and you fine them something, right? Maybe they can't even afford the fine. But to haul them off like from a sci-fi movie, I mean, that's very militaristic. So
you're right. Yeah.
Well,
I didn't know.
It's indicative.
And the families don't know where they are.
Yeah, it's indicative of the cultural fabric, I suppose. Now, I mean, think about it. When kids go to school, everyone expects that kid to be perfect. When a question is asked, you have to give the most perfect answer. So, I mean, what's the point in going to school? You go to learn, and when you're out of line, the first thing you do is they absolutely smash the kid, and it's normalized. So this is a reflection of that. I mean, the reality is, when you see,
so that's a sad thing.
When you see every problem as a nail, and the only answer you have is a hammer, that's what happens, and clearly, yeah, just clearly
Hammer
that
to it.
hammering every nail is not going to give you the right answer, as clearly demonstrated with what's currently happening. Best example being India, because we saw how much hammering they did with those very, very long sticks. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was even that. I don't know what is worse actually, being hauled off like that, like a sack of potatoes, or whether you're getting beaten up with one of those sticks. This culture here is really crazy, man. I don't know. I don't even know whether these people have recourse to any action, against the perps.
Absolutely. And a big hi to everybody who's watching. And I saw so
Hello?
many people whilst you guys were talking. There were so many people who came and said hi. And Spencer Leon, good to have you, mate. I said big hi to Boa, one of your fans, and Ramesh De
Hi,
Silva.
Spenny.
Yeah, Tamara, Lakshman, Jeeves, Gordon. I think most of these people who are watching, they are all the way from Australia, and good to have them. Very few Sri Lankans, I believe. I think they're all on a Sunday afternoon. They had their biryanis or whatever, and they must
Snooze.
be having afternoon snooze and just being in a lockdown kind of scenario. It's pretty hilarious what has been happening. Besides all gloom and doom, which we decided not to talk about it because that's all what we hear. And instead of that, Caryll and Boa, and we thought that we'll talk about this show about hope and positivity and the opportunities out of people. Some people are actually making use of the situation and working from home, and they are making the most of it. And the reason why I asked Boa to come today, and a living example is Boa and what he's doing to keep himself occupied. And he's living in New Zealand. Caryll, it's a very fantastic story that you should listen to Boa and what he's up to for the last few months and how successfully he has done, and the time that he had spent being in a lockdown scenario, how much he has created, which is an absolute positive story. Boa, I think Caryll is slightly off the line. I think perhaps it'll be a good opportunity for you to talk about. Boa, take us through what hope people can have in a scenario like this, and what can be done to overcome. That would be great, Boa.
Well, look, one of the first things I actually did during the pandemic was, I was, doing a lot of research online, and obviously it gave me a bit of time. And it's what you do with your time which really matters. I mean, you can surf all sorts of shit on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
Try and look up your old girlfriends or whatever. But the reality is, if you actually look at areas and industries where there are success stories, where there is revenue to be made, one common indicator I saw was using the online platform to educate people.
Yeah.
I thought, look, this is what I'm going to do. So one of the projects I embarked, particularly over the last year, was I'm actually working with New Zealand Rugby on this. I'm a world rugby educator. That's what I do. I coach coaches. So I'm working on a project called Safe Tackle Framework. So what it means, rugby is a contact sport, educating coaches on how to teach younger players to tackle safely and effectively, because concussion and head injuries, what we call traumatic brain injuries, have been on the rapid rise. So fast forward 13 months, the result is all that educating online has now been accepted by New Zealand Rugby, and they're rolling this project out in 2022. So
Brilliant.
That's an example of how I utilize my time. And also, on the other hand, I'm a very avid investor. I from a very young age, I was taught to invest, such as financial and wealth markets. So, pandemic was the perfect time. There's this good old saying, when everyone else is afraid, be brave. And when everyone else is brave, be very afraid. So when everyone is afraid, it means that, there's panic setting in, people selling their assets off, selling stocks off. So that's your opportunity to strike, and you sit on it. Fast forward 13 months, some of the gains, for example, Tesla. Everyone knows what Tesla is. 13 months ago, the the single stock price of Tesla was about 130 US dollars. Right now, it's sitting at about 700. So I can go on and on with, there's a long list, but bottom line is, for any of you out there where, you're kind of doing it a bit difficult, doing it hard because of the pandemic, a lot of people I know, they've lost their employment, so they're looking at different avenues. Guys, you've got to figure out a way on how to make money when you sleep. That is the key to freeing up a lot of your time. Because think about it, what we as humans, what we are taught, we go to school, work hard, go to university, get a job, and what do? We give up about 9 to 10 hours every day to do a job. Okay? So out of 24 hours, you take 10 hours, that's 14 hours. You got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to commute, do whatever it is. So, and then you work till you're 65 or something like that, and then you retire. Well, what's the point? You got to enjoy life when you can, because you just never know, because, we can't predict the future. So one of the key concepts I'm trying to throw at all of you out here is, you got to make sure what you do with your time actually counts. It's not the amount of hours you put in, it's the amount of quality hours you get out. For example, I'll wake up and I'll probably spend maybe 2, maybe 3 hours every day doing my thing. But when I do, I'm gun barrel focused. All the problems of the world, everything else ceases to exist. I just focus, get what I need to get done, and I get out of there. And the rest of the day, I just hang out with the kids and do all that. But guys, that takes a school of thought, that takes a lot of self-discipline, and it takes a lot of patience. And at the same time, it takes a lot of courage. Because when you start doing things differently, you will get a lot of criticism. People say, oh, what are you doing? Why'd you give up your job? You need to do this, you need to do that. So you got to be very, very focused on what you're doing. And one of the key concepts, do not forget this, you have to figure out how to make money while you're asleep. Now, some of you might be saying, what is this guy going on about? Is he nuts? I'm not nuts. If you don't believe me, Google it. You can teach yourself. There's so many resources out there. So this is the perfect time to do it, guys. Press that reset button. Get some new goals in your life. Get some drive. Get some change it up. Change it up. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. If you want to change the outcome, you gotta change what you're doing. That's so important.
Change the way you think. I said words of wisdom once more. Caryll, do you agree with what he says?
Yeah, two things that Boa touched on. One is about making money and changing it up. You know what? During the war, when everybody pulls, in any time of hardship, all the companies pull back on their advertising dollars, right? And they stop advertising. But during the war, I think it was Levers, they started advertising a soap, and they said that was key to their success when everybody else pulled back. So, like Boa said, you have to be brave, you have to be daring, and also in this time of COVID, lots of people have changed up what they're doing. Boa, they need to feed the family. So a lot of in Sri Lanka, most people have gone into food, and there's Uber and there's Pick Me and all these food vehicles flying back and forth. Maybe, women have taken a backseat at home as well and said, let's just order in if you can afford to do that, right? And I don't think it's very expensive. Somebody told me the other day they ordered in Acharu. And apparently they actually deliver, if you order something for $150 or more, they actually deliver acharu to your doorstep. So trust Sri Lankans, going down that road. And then, of course, there's the other side of it. I remember telling the kids, whatever you choose to do in life, do be the best at it and do what you like to do. Because actually, how miserable is it to sometimes do a job that you don't enjoy doing, right? So maybe this is the time for a reset button. I remember my husband telling the kids, if you're going to be a ditch digger, be the best damn ditch digger you want to be. But parents now put a lot of onus on kids to do tuition, and they've forgotten to have fun. their idea that 24 hours is set for them. So I think with COVID, I mean, lots of kids are at home. Maybe they'll start inventing games like we used to, and do other things apart from just hang on their, Instagram or whatever. So yes, it is time for a reset, Charith.
Yeah, absolutely. That I was just about to say that I was watching The Last Dance, probably very close to your heart as well. Caryll, it's about Michael Jordan, about this, whole life story about
Yeah.
the Bulls and Chicago Bulls, rather, amazing boy, it's an amazing series that I've watched, to me, more than Michael Jordan, okay, MJ is MJ, about the silent role Phil Jackson, their coach, played. The amazing guy,
Oh
very
my gosh.
unassuming, probably
Yeah,
regarded
amazing
as,
man.
one of the best coaches of all time. And he had this mantra going all the time, which, during team discussions and when he addressing players, the little things like, only thing he asked the players to do, live in the moment. And it was like, it became like a mantra, he probably had affiliations to Zen Buddhism or whatever. I mean, he believed in, but all the time he kept on stressing that don't worry about other factors, don't worry about the factors which are uncontrollable. And if you live in the moment, if you really look at it, I mean, you spoke about people losing jobs, Boa. Caryll, you were saying about, the situations that we have gone through, war, and, the people ordering acharos and being only concerned about their eating habits. And there are factors, what is outside. But if you really look at it, what's happening right now is you and I, there are three of us are having a chat. And the other thing that we do is, we breathe to live, and nobody is, and we take these little things for granted. And, you don't put your heart and soul to what you do the present moment. Instead, the people worry about, oh my God, that, there's COVID down the lane, I'm going to get sick next day, and the hospitals are full, the ICU is full, there's a shortage of oxygen. More than the pandemic itself, the people are suffering. That's they're literally, their minds, the people are not there. I mean, if any eventualities, if it happens, it happens. That you can't, that's life. And I think, and the other was, I always listen to the podcast from Joe Rogan and all those guys. Joe Rogan always says that the conflict is good in your life. That's what Bo was saying. Make opportunities. That without conflict, if you get up in the morning, say if you are a avid runner, Boa, for an example, that you have to hit the gym, what happens is your body, always, sends you these nasty signals. Oh, my, back is hurting, my hammies are tight, just, either, my throat is not right, my breathing is not right. The body will give you 1,000 reasons why you should not hit the gym. Yeah, that's a mechanism, that's an inbuilt mechanism, apparently, which I think, that the humanly that, we have. If not for those conflicts, we will not be driven. So I think, in this particular moment, what I want to say is live in the moment, overcome those obstacles, just be smart. And every time there's, something props up, do what you do, as you rightly said, whatever you do in life, do it the best possible way and overcome those obstacles. And, it's amazing. And, to me, that, okay, my season ended 2 weeks back, and my body has taken a lot the last 4 months, and I wanted a break. But then I thought, let me learn something which, I haven't done. I always trying to embark on new things. I started learning about coffee, mate. That's just about coffees. I've been a tea taster, Caryll, working for Maharajas for almost 16 years. And, I don't say that I know everything about tea, but I know a lot about tea. Whereas I had no clue about coffee, and I was just piling myself with instant coffees all along. And most of the trainers whom I had, with my time with Sri Lanka cricket and the overseas trainers we had, they used to laugh at me and say, what the hell is this junk you are drinking, mate? Every time I'm overseas, I'm with a cup of, instant coffee, and people say, what is this rubbish you're drinking? And I used to say, oh, mate, this is the best. This is the best. I didn't know how to brew coffee, or I didn't know the difference between an instant coffee and a grounded coffee. Now I'm learning all about it, and Caryll, it's beautiful. As I
Turning
always
yourself into a barista.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where
Stop.
I invested myself. Not that I could invest, not that I bought a sophisticated espresso machine. I'm playing with it all the time. I'm trying to make these coffees, all kinds of, I didn't know the difference between espresso or americano, and how to make a latte, how to make, a cappuccino, I'm like, now I'm learning how to steam the milk. Just to add a little more froth in it. It's a whole new game. That it's huge out there. The different varieties of coffee. From Arabica to Robusta, and just like tea. Which region it comes from? What I'm saying is, I don't know. It's a passion at the moment. I have got into it with heart and soul. Not only I'm enjoying it, and I'm learning about it. So rather than sitting and moaning about what's happening, that there is no cricket, maybe at the end of the month that we may not have an income, or I don't know, Boa. Literally the sport in this country may come to a standstill. I don't know, Caryll. I don't know, and seriously, I don't know what's happening. I hope not. And we don't have much. I wouldn't say hope, but we don't have anything in the calendar. The months down the line, what we are going to do, because nobody has said, okay, tournament is going to start, or we are going to start training. Everything is shut down at the moment. But I think this is the best time for people to embark on new things. As Boa said, and if you can stay at home, if you can make money whilst you are sleeping, that's the way, mate. And then, Boa, if you can, yeah, lots of people have asked me if you can stress on these new cryptocurrencies, which people are not very, savvy about. Yeah, I know, and I know that you're an expert in this area. If people would love to hear that, Boa.
Well, look, let's put it this way. I've studied it, I've followed it for a while. One thing I have to say is, so for those who want to actually understand what a cryptocurrency is, cryptocurrency, every transaction is actually logged and registered. So everyone who's involved in the network actually knows what and how and where. There's there's insatiable appetite right around now, and even some of the larger banks, in some of their investment portfolios, they actually invest heavily in some of the cryptocurrencies. Two key ones. One is Bitcoin, and the other one is called Dogecoin. Now, I have to say I'm not a big fan of cryptocurrency, because it really depends on how you look at it and what your risk level is. I've taken my big risks long time ago. It paid off, so I've kind of moved on, and I stick to the tried and tested, like your top tech stocks, your large, for example, there's an American company called Home Depot, and its rival called Loco. So they're in construction, as you know, right around the world. People need houses, so that's a growth industry. And if you look at the energy industry, the population is growing, so there's a bigger demand for energy. So those are tried and tested. The thing with cryptocurrency is it's very, very volatile. It goes up and down. And I wouldn't really put your house on Bitcoin or anything like that.
It's a gamble, isn't it? It's a gamble that if you want to.
It very much is. So my advice is, take your time, read up on it, understand the intricacies of it. And my number one rule on investing is, don't invest what you can't afford to lose. Let me say it again. Do not invest what you can't afford to lose. So let's say, for example, I have, let's say, $1,000, right? And that's it. I've got nothing more, nothing less. Now, I'm not going to go and chuck all that $1,000 on an investment. Let's say I play in the stock market, and then next day I wake up, my portfolio value goes down to $991. Oh my goodness! A panic sets in. I'm worried. I'm having sleepless nights. That's not how you should do it. What you should do is, you should apportion a certain part of your income and say, right, I'm going to take 20% of my income or incomes. And the reason I say incomes is, the really smart people, they have multiple streams of income. So they have, a job, they have a side project, they invest, they have rental incomes. And of course, a really tried and tested method of making money anywhere in the world over the years is investing in property. So any of you out there who owns a rental property, or earns off a building, what you call brick and mortar, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know,
Yeah.
you have an asset, it pays you money. I remember the first time, many years ago, when I first got a rental, the first time my tenant paid me rent, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, my goodness, this is actually happening. So the reality is you gotta spend your money wisely. And one analogy I can give all of you out there watching is, you know how you plant your seeds in a flower garden, right? So treat your money like seeds. You put the seeds in the garden, you put fertilizer, you pour water, and what happens? The seeds grow, and then the flowers start blossoming. It's the same thing with your money. Treat them like seeds. They don't teach you this shit at school. Excuse my language. And universities, they teach you finance, but they don't actually teach you financial literacy. The reality is just dumping your money in savings accounts, it's not going to give you that financial freedom. You have to go a little bit above and beyond that. So coming back to the original question with cryptocurrency, guys, do your research. If you think you're brave enough, have a crack. And then once you figure it out, you will master it yourself. And that's the most important thing in investing. But my advice would be stick to the tried and tested and do not, and I repeat, do not invest more than what you can afford to lose.
Caryll, agree what he says. In the meantime, big hi to Azwin, and good to have you on the show. Deepa, good. Deepa, I haven't spoken to Deepa for ages. I hope Deepa can join us and see what's happening in Malaysia. That's good, not good news, Deepa. I saw on news a little while ago that Malaysia just banned all Sri Lankans entering Malaysia. Did you hear about that, Caryll?
Yeah, they have, and also I think there's a small lockdown in Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. I think anticipation of that. Is that right, Deepa?
Let's see whether we can get Deepa online. Whether
Maybe they can. I think they're doing the right thing. Okay, no, Charith, I think they're doing a good job of it.
Who's doing a good job? Malaysians, you mean?
No, Malaysia. I mean, if they have to stop, since there's an upsurge in Sri Lanka, it's the smartest thing, right? I think we did the wrong thing in keeping our doors open when there was an upsurge in India. So, hopefully we will learn from all these mistakes, as they call it, and move to a better footing. And to do that, I think, I know you disagreed with the lockdown last time, if I'm not mistaken, Charith. I think they have to do it in the areas that there are too many people who are infected, if you know what I mean, because people don't seem to take the onus on themselves to practice that distancing and not to get about if there's a lot of people who are sick in that particular area. But locking down the whole country, I might agree with you, that's hard to do, right? But then again, Boa, didn't New Zealand do that? They locked down the whole country, right?
Well, we used a policy called go hard and go early. So we went very, very early. Of course, that was on very sound medical advice. Yeah, I mean, back in 2006, after the SARS virus, they put in place a pandemic response plan. So, we had dress rehearsals and there was a lot of literature and education around it. And it felt like that the health authorities were very ready for it. So we went into a complete lockdown for 4 weeks and got right on top of it. And it was followed by what you call some mini circuit breakers or 3-4 day regional lockdowns. So we have very different. I mean, it's very simple. Level 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is complete lockdown. 3 is you have certain restrictions. 2, again, lesser restrictions. 1, which is we're currently in level 1. We have been for almost half a year now. It just means that the borders are closed for regular business. It's only repatriation flights and permanent residents as well as citizens who are overseas, they can be brought back in. And unless there is what you call a special dispensation where you're coming over for a very specific event. But again, we have very strict quarantine rules. Everyone coming in here, doesn't matter who you are, you must sit your 14 days. And there's a testing regime, and also there's a follow-up regime. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, it was good that they did. But again, that was all based on science, not based on political rhetoric. And everyone actually put all the politics aside, and we focused on what we needed to do. And one thing I have to say, guys, is you can't comprehensively answer a question unless you don't know what the full extent of it is. So with COVID, one thing I see from a layman point of view is there was a mass scale testing regime. So we tested a huge, almost, 1/3 of the population was tested. So you got a true picture of where the infections were and what the patterns were. And that's how you get on top of it, because you can identify and go back and trace where the breakouts were. So without actually having a proper testing regime, but that's the same with running any scientific experiment. If your data is wrong, your outcomes are going to be very skewed. So I suppose that's what's happening now. But that's by and largely because there's a political element to this, because I don't think any government is going to want to come out and say, yeah, look, we have 106,914 infections in the last 24 hours. That will be political suicide. So I understand why they're playing dodgeball, but when you do this, you kind of put yourself in a very precarious situation. And the reality now, I guess, if there's a exponential break like what's happening in India, they might have to actually come out and say, look, if you can afford to stay at home, if you got the coin to survive, stay home. If you don't, you risk getting corona and potentially dying.
Yeah.
I agree with what Boa is saying, Carolina. Just to ask you a question, last time when they enforced the lockdown, I felt that, when you look at stats, still, it's the 2% of the world's population who actually, it's inhuman to say that, even to say 2% or 1%, this should not happen, but, we should address it. But the fact is, we perhaps enforced a lockdown when it wasn't necessary at that point. And like what New Zealanders did, we should have had level 1, level 2, level 3. Instead of all that, we went full on lockdown, and the country suffered, the economy suffered. And perhaps this is a time to have a lockdown, and we can't afford another lockdown like what's happening in India. The timing is all wrong. And what happened, we all know what really actually transpired, before New Year. The numbers kept coming down. I don't want to go into detail whether it's manipulated or it's politically motivated. I wouldn't go there. But the fact was, actually, that the people got the wrong picture. Everybody thought, like what happened, very similar to what happened in India. People, went on a walkabout during the festive season, and today, these are the consequences. This is what happened. This is the aftermath of what actually transpired during New Year. By the way, I think Deepa is online. Good to see Deepa. Hi there. Let's bring Deepa on for a moment. Boa, we haven't spoken to Deepa for long. There you go.
Boa. Hi, Charith.
Hi. Good to see you.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah, lovely to see her. She's looking good, isn't she? She's getting better. She's becoming prettier by the day. I think lockdown has done so much good for her. Good for Deepa.
Hi, Deepa. Sorry, you're looking good, but I am in a bath of sweat here because it's there's no electricity all day today. We've had a cut off. So I'm envious of you looking all fresh as a daisy there.
Yeah, we were
straight out of a Cosmopolitan front cover.
Absolutely. She's just like off a Cosmopolitan cover. Just that nice and fresh. Deepa, why did you do this to us? Why have you banned us visiting your beautiful country? No more. You don't want us anymore. What's going on?
The lockdown has given me a lot of good opportunities to intensively train for Pilates. It's only the few centers open during the lockdown. So I'm training to be a teacher. Hopefully I could share this fresh outlook with others soon.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. What you were heavily into Pilates, right? Is that what you were doing there? Oh, right. Dude, that's the secret. Pilates, right? Boa. That's what you and I should do, forget going to the gym, forget lifting weights, Caryll, Pilates, way to go.
I use a lot of core strength.
Hey, CS, I'm sorry, I'm just going to interject here. While we got to lovely ladies on the show. I think one subject matter we should touch, since we've got two lovely ladies on the show, is, you know, that little fiasco we had a few months on that beauty pageant, the Real Housewives of Colombo, all gone wrong.
Before
Caryll, I think we need to talk about that, don't you think so?
It's quite interesting.
I don't know whether Deepa is aware of that, but by the way, since we have two ladies, okay, Caryll, until Caryll comes back, and hopefully she will join us, on the feed shortly. Poor Caryll she's been having issues with the power lines, so she's trying her level best. Hopefully, Caryll is back, But by the way,
about that, Charith, if you don't mind, because I seem to be cutting. I seem to be cutting in and out. So
before that,
I just want to say something.
Ladies, hang on a second. Before that, for all the ladies out there, my apologies. I didn't realize that it's Mother's Day. People have said, say something about it. So big thank you to all the mothers out there. It's all what you have done. So grateful to my mom and everyone else that So ladies, Caryll, that you are a mother. Deepa is yet to become a mother, I believe.
Yeah. I'm a mother of two grown-ass men.
Yeah. Oh, back to you, Caryll.
Happy Mother's Day, Caryll.
Thank you, thank you. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. And I hope they've done something on lockdown, so they have to do something nice for their wives at home. So, guys.
And all the fathers who made mothers.
I don't know about that. I just want to say something about what happened.
I was saying I took the wife shopping this afternoon and actually gave her the credit card and said, "Here you go. Here's your gift."
Well, you got some brownie points, I guess. Boy, you got some brownie points, man.
Well, I guess I'll find out tonight after the show, so we'll see.
So, Boa, I did follow the Mrs. World controversy.
Oh yes, of course.
That's so interesting and sad that it happened like that.
So let us ask the former beauty queen herself, the Mrs. Sri Lanka.
Yikes!
What are your views?
Oh my gosh! Don't even talk about it. But I actually, Charith, I am, for once I get a little embarrassed when people talk about this, my participation in the beauty scene. I never saw myself as a beauty. I was more, I'd rather people talked about my sportsmanship and my sports. But I have to say it gave me something really good in that it gave me a podium to talk about abused women. And that's how Women in Need started out, because I imagined a center for abused women. And this Canadian VSO, Jane Merivale, called me and said, "Listen, if you're interested, I'll help you." And that was the start of Women in Need. So I have to say there was a plus point to what I did. But coming back to what happened this time, there are certain rules. Okay, so you're supposed to be a married woman to enter Mrs. World competition. So I don't know what the winner's credentials are, but I think what Caroline and them said was that the organizers didn't adhere to the rules. However, I have to say it wasn't Caroline's position to grab the crown off her head.
Yes.
She should have acted with more decorum, in that if there was such a problem, she should have addressed it with the organizers and let them do it. Even if it was off stage at another date, it still would have happened. It's like what happened to Caroline. She lost her crown over this incident. So I think taking matters into her hand was wrong. And for goodness sake, there's so much crazy things happening in Sri Lanka. And this stupid clip went viral. People were talking about it on Australia news. I was cringing every time I saw this, because I was like, oh my goodness, so many things are happening in this country. And people are talking about this particular issue. But I suppose in some ways it's good to talk about it and put it to bed, My one thing is, she should not have been the one to take the matters into her hands. There should have been pressure on the organizers to take action if that was the case, Technically, I think if you're running for a Mrs. whatever, I think then you need to be a Mrs. It's not a Ms. whatever competition. As you know, I always sign myself off as Ms. But then I was going as a Mrs. So even if I have the husband on the side, I still go as a Miss. So you have to act with decorum when you're in that position. And sadly, I think she didn't. And it's very upsetting because she won the world crown, right, Charith? And they took it away from her just a few months before she would have lost it anyway, or handed it to the next reigning queen anyway. So I think in retrospect, she might think that it was the wrong thing to have done. I understand the premise behind it, but I don't understand the action behind it. Anyway, that's my piece on the matter.
Those are your thoughts, yeah. All right, Deepa, did you see what transpired? Did it hit the news in Malaysia?
Yes, the whole world saw it. All the pageant community was posted. It's a meme. Sri Lanka is so popular for this incident.
Here,
wow.
I would rather they be talking about the Medis Kudu in Parliament than okay, because it kind of, I cringe from a woman's point of view. I tend to cringe a little bit on that issue. Because as I said, there's so many laughable things that happen here. And sadly, this one thing went viral.
You couldn't write a script like that. I actually saw it on the 6 o'clock news here, and I listened. There was something like, you guys need to all be married or something like that. So I'm taking my first accent, something along those lines. And man, everyone was taking the out of it.
And Boa, what the heck was that Black Power sign or Heil Hitler sign that went out there? I mean, that really took the cake,
That was
it's like you just, I don't know. Yeah, that was not nice. Not nice.
One thing I have to say is, I never realized we had such really, really good-looking aunties in Sri Lanka. That I have
stop calling us aunties.
That's
So,
Boa, they are so young. They're only in their mid-30s, or less. I think
it's a very subjective term, so that's my subjectivity. And one thing I have to say is, look, this calls for a Netflix documentary. It seriously does, because it's the true real housewives of Colombo. And
oh my goodness! Housewives of Sri Lanka, man.
Okay, hopefully Anchor Milk come on board. Be a sponsor, or some kind of pet food company comes on board. Who for cat food or something like that, if you get the connection.
Just be glad you're not standing next to me, Boa. You would have got a whack upside your head for that.
well, we're just talking light-hearted humor here, so.
Guys, the sad thing is that they worked really hard, both Caroline and the winner. They really put in their 100%, and Caroline, prior to the contest, put in so much of effort to get the crown to Sri Lanka after so many years. And so the incident's really sad, because I felt that, at least in this part of the world, in Malaysia, we were happy. We were proud that a South Asian woman has won international crown of this caliber, and she was so talented. And it's just sad only that it transpired in such a way. Yeah.
True, but what you guys don't understand here is, Caroline, who that her surname is Jury. So she thought, okay, she's either Jury. She took the course of action upon herself. I just don't see the big problem here. So she was the jury. So she gave a verdict and said,
that's why I said you couldn't write this.
You can't be the judge and the jury, okay?
Wow,
and the executioner.
She was the executioner as well. Exactly. Yeah, she just passed her judgment and said, okay.
And also the follow-up. I mean, they got arrested and all the cameras turned up. The face mask, the sunglasses. They were just living in this sort of la dream.
I mean, that was even more stupid. I don't know which was more stupid.
I mean, what
that was more stupid. I mean, there's so much going on here. So many people who should be arrested for far more, and they get picked up. I mean, I don't even know what grounds. It was not civil disobedience. it wasn't abuse. I mean, okay, her hair got pulled apparently, but
Was
I don't
hospitalized,
even know
Carol,
what ground she
one
was
night.
picked up on.
Exactly. She was charged for manslaughter. The woman had head injuries.
Well, in our part of the world, Deepa, it doesn't mean much in our part of the world. Anybody who's about to be taken into custody gets hospitalized. So, especially if you're in powers, in positions of power, I should say.
Yeah, like Humpty Dumpty, right?
So,
Sat on a
oh
wall
my
and
goodness.
broke his crown.
Yeah,
guys, it highlighted one thing. Given that it was viral, the amount of WhatsApp messages, the amount of Facebook shares, Instagram, blah, 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 whatever, it clearly showed that there is always a demand for this type of trailer trash on television.
Absolutely.
I know, man. I mean, that's like what you call that, a Jerry Springer moment in the US of A. They have that guy, Jerry Springer, who does these shows where they hit each other and whatever, pull their hair. And it was a Jerry Springer moment.
Yeah.
Only thing that was missing, they didn't take their, they didn't rip their clothes apart. Otherwise it would have been, totally Jerry Springer moment. That's I was very disappointed. Only the crown was taken off. That would have been icing on the cake, mate.
Charith, you should be a director, but a different channel altogether. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious. Deepa, that's the reason why.
The thing is, Charith. So Charith, the thing is, Glenn, yes.
Glenn, okay.
Go on, Carol. Okay.
No. I'm trying to tell you something that it's about. When they call us feminists, right? A lot of feminists disagree with beauty pageants and models, etc. Right? So, having been a former modeling and doing everything I can in my past, I disagree with that. I think there's a place for all of this, because even for me, I mean, it gave me the podium for a bigger cause, right? Women in need. So there's always, but when things like this happen, makes it in that same group, like these beauty pageants are not meant to be demeaning, etc. Yeah,
I agree, Carol, because I don't think we should judge a beauty pageant in that sense, because it's a personal choice, and I think every woman have their own right to
choices,
make those decisions. And I respect their competitiveness, their sportsmanship there. You have to make sure you look good, and you have to be healthy, articulate to answer Q&As, and you're representing your country. And Miss Australia is also the new Miss Universe. She's championing LGBT rights, and she's got a big platform through the Miss Universe contest. So I think there is again, like what you said, a place and a time, and also a platform for these women to voice out their concerns.
Yep.
And clearly these
maybe.
What I was going to say was, clearly these very attractive aunties were, they took this very, very seriously. And what, all credit to them, because it's the high performance version of beauty pageants, where everything is on the line, and it's a very competitive environment.
Boa, I want to say something to you. We disagree with this term aunties and nangis.
I knew I would get that reaction. I was waiting for it.
See, I even asked the 12-year-old basketball players that play with me not to call me auntie. They call me Aki, mind you. And I'm sure the parents think, what the hell is going on? Because that's Kasturi and myself who insist that these kids, if they want to play with us, they have to call us Aki instead of auntie, right? So you have this 10-year-old, 11-year-old running around calling us Aki. And I'm sure the parents who are sitting in the sidelines are wondering, what the hell is going on? Why are kids calling these old people Aki? So, we disagree with that term aunties, okay?
Yes.
I remember when we were kids,
I knew I was going to get told off by Carol for that.
Deepa, but Carol again, she's disappeared, and she's having issues with a connection. Deepa, isn't that a very Asian thing? I think that happens in Malaysia as well, isn't it? Calling everybody auntie and calling everyone sister, brother, machang. I think you guys use
Yes, we
machang.
do. Very common to call auntie, uncle. I mean, it's just a sign of respect that we have for our elders, but not for beauty queens.
that has to be the quote of the day.
Okay, Charith, I have an admission. I have an admission to make. So
yeah,
I call all my guy friends machang because when you put them on a machang level, then it doesn't go beyond into something else. You get my drift. So I've always called my guy friends machangs, unless of course I had a keen eye on them, which I. So that's one of the reasons of.
So Carol, if you have an eye on them, what do you call them?
Then I call them very nicely by their name.
Okay.
Okay. Big hi to Sajid and Ajit Indrakumar. He's a avid supporter of the program. Surat, good to have you. Sheroz, I'm sure Sheroz must be itching to say something. He's got his own views about the whole thing. Azwin, love to hear from you guys. The girls have said what they want to. I think Caryll had said what she thought about the whole thing. And Deepa, this just after what happened not soon after. I think this happened last week. What Caryll was talking about, there's another lady got involved. She said miris kudu, miris means chili, and she's a provincial councillor in one of the what do you call these? Not the mainstream politics. She's in the provincial system, and she ended up throwing some chili powder at one of the male one of her male colleagues, and that was again there was massive drama. I don't know. I think it just happened. Perhaps Caryll was following it as the feminist or activists involved in women's affairs. I don't know how far that is gone, Caryll. It's a whole chili powder throwing incident.
See, sorry, I have to go, guys. I have to catch the market because of the lockdown. It's going to close early. See you guys. Thanks, Charith.
All right, Deepa. It's good having you. Okay, bye-bye. All right.
So I suppose there's a court case on that too. I mean, all these court cases, serious court cases get thrown out, and these So I don't know, man. Less said about those things, the better. Actually, this is really Ashikland, as you said.
One thing I have to say is, I mean, look, coming back to beauty pageants, I think it's a fantastic thing because clearly, we have a world champ in this lady Caroline, now former.
Yeah.
At least that's one thing we seem to be winning, because in everything else, when it comes to sports, we can't win anything. So hey, I think it's a wonderful thing.
So I was on the NOC at one time, right? I was on the sports council at one time, right? And we drew up a list of sports that we have the possibilities of winning. And out of all the 40 odd or 50 odd sports we have, there are about 14 sports that we can win. If we put all our efforts into that. I'm sorry to say rugby is not one of them, buddy. We are not built that way. I don't think we have that, right? But then there are other sports like badminton, tennis, netball, cricket, even soccer. If we put all the money that came in from FEMA into soccer, everybody wonders what has happened to that money. So if we put effort into those sports, we pick 14 of those sports and give all our efforts, there's no reason why we can't win. I mean, if our counterparts from India and Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia and Japan and whatever are doing it, we have similar structure, we have similar food, we have similar, most things, right? But what we don't have is this foresight and to do a program to incorporate some of this, and then you classify them as A cut, B cut, Olympians, national players, youth, whatever, and then you give them the wherewithal to be better, right? Even the Olympic organization sends money for the A cut, B cut winners, right? Or A cut, B cut qualifiers. So like that, they need to get supplements, they need to get mental strength, they need to get physiotherapy, they need so many things. When I was there, we took it to 4 different ministers. Nobody bothered, and what selectors' qualifications should be. So we have it, Boa. But sadly, this pull to put people into teams instead of putting the best out there has been a bane of our lives. It has been a bane of our lives when I was, in active sport, in that kind of active national sport, right? I mean, don't you want to be the proud person, minister or whatever that brings in winning teams, Or do you just want to put all your buddies into the team and then go and lose badly and get the whole world laughing at us? So I don't know what your priority, what their priorities are. Actually, I know you guys are probably with me on the same page because you all are also good athletes, right? So we understand what the need of the hour should be.
100%. And since we're on this topic, because let me put my 2 cents worth, because high performance is something I know a thing or two about. I'm actively involved in high performance here. So as far as Sri Lanka, look, I think 14 sports is way too much. There's one particular code which I think Sri Lanka has its best and probably only chance of any sort of medal over the next 4 to 8 years is female middle to sprint distance running.
Yeah, that
we have proven results to show that, from Susantika to some of the younger girls who perform better at the Junior Olympics. So I think forget about all handouts to all these other glamour sports. And I'm just putting my high performance hat here, because high performance is all about results, and you have to be brutally honest where you are and where you need to be and how you get there. It's all about the how, and that's where I think all the funding needs to go in. So we have a couple of young girls who who meet the world timings. So they need to be put into an environment where they're going to be tested, and they have world-class coaching who can then take them progressively to the next levels. And of course, with high performance, the 2 key ingredients, so if anyone is watching this, the 2 key ingredients in high performance, quite contrary to what most people think, is actually nutrition and rest. If you get those 2 right, the training is probably right at the top of what I call a pyramid. So, you have your rest, your nutrition, your psychology, your tactics, and then you have your training, and then you have that what you call a killer instinct. That's the difference between the good and the great. So if you get that structure right, look, I think we have the talent, but then trying to spread our resources across too many sports, it's just not going to happen. I mean, you have to learn how to walk first before you think you can sprint and set a world record. If you don't know how to walk, you're not going to get there. So you got to get the structures right. And I think the reality is the only middle prospects we have are going to be from females. That's just the ground reality, guys. At least in the short term.
I agree with you, Boa. To answer Carol's question, that what she asked, why is it happening? I think perhaps we have spoken about it in our shows earlier, that the politics and sports cannot mix.
True.
In the right person, that's to simply answer your question in a nutshell. That too much politics in our sports at the moment, and it's not going to help the cause. Other countries who are actually producing results at the highest level of sport, which is Olympics, that they leave politics aside. I think the best person always get the opportunity. You got your timing right. Everyone who got everything right in a sporting scenario, and who gets qualified in the right manner and is at the right place. But I don't know whether it's happening in Sri Lanka, as we speak. And I just want to ask, Carol, since you are with the NOC, it's a very interesting development. I actually had a chat with one of the girls, who is a bidding gymnast, and hopefully, I think she's trying to compete. She was trying to qualify for the Olympics. I don't know what actually happened. The Anna Maria Ondachi, and then 2 other girls qualified in 2 brand new sports, which is not very familiar to the Sri Lankans. And I saw that this has been discussed in social media, whether they actually have the right, and whether it's correct for them to represent Sri Lanka, and being I mean, they are Sri Lankans, but they don't live in Sri Lanka. They live outside the country. But what are your thoughts, Caryll? You being in the NOC, to me, once you explain your theory,
Yeah.
and Boa perhaps will have views. What do you think? These girls who are
So yeah.
they are residing outside Sri Lanka, competing for Sri Lanka. What are your thoughts?
So I small correction. I used to be in the National Sports Council, and now I am actually on the Sexual Harassment Committee of the NOC. So I just wanted to correct that, right? Okay. So there is such a committee, Sexual Harassment in Sport. So yeah, to get back to your question, this is exactly what I'm saying. Who cares where they live? Maybe they are getting a better training system, right? I think they should come here and participate in our top events at the appropriate times when we have them, set their timing, beat the athletes here, right? So and fly for Sri Lanka, man. Who cares? It's at the end of the day, it's not about us, right? When we participated in sport, it wasn't about us. It was about bringing this pride and glory to Sri Lanka, or Ceylon, or even whatever. So I truly believe every Sri Lankan, wherever they may live, because people also migrate for a variety of different reasons, Charith, right? And sometimes the parents take that option of migrating for whatever suits them or whatever their requirement is in life at the moment. And the children probably don't have a say in it. But I mean, if they identify themselves, and Sri Lankans, my two boys, if you ask them, where are you from? They'll say, we are Sri Lankan. But they really don't look Sri Lankan. And they have not lived here much. But their identity is to their extended family in Sri Lanka and the people of Sri Lanka and the country as a whole. Now, they've lived out most of their lifetime, but their identity is where where the family is, right? So it's like that. And I think if you, I remember, was it Gehan Mendes, cricketer, who one time wanted to play for Sri Lanka because he really should have played for England, but he didn't get a chance. Or that was what the story was at the time, right?
You're right.
And
yes.
Don't you think he was talented and he should have got a chance to play for England, but England wasn't taking little brown boys at that time, I suppose. But
yeah, I think to be fair by Gehan, I think Gehan had the option of playing for Sri Lanka, and I don't think we had any objection Gehan playing for us. But I think Gehan opted to play for England, and there he lost out. Unfortunately, that was very, very unfortunate. But why I asked you that question, Boa, what are your views? And perhaps the children, yes, Caryll, as Caryll rightly said, that the parents migrate for different reasons. Yeah, we all understand that. And these are perhaps second, third generation Sri Lankans who have migrated to other destinations, and now they want to represent the country. Is there any problem in that, Boa?
No, not at all. I mean, it's what you call, we see this with all sporting codes right around the world. So why should we be any different? But I guess we are a bit different in our administrative methods and structures in how we open ourselves to integrate these athletes. And that, I think, is where the problem is. And look, at the end of the day, when it comes to high performance, I mean, I'm being brutally honest here, having worked with a number of high performance athletes. Guys, it's actually about themselves. It's all about the athlete. This whole dream about that we're representing a country that's, it's something I see which is disappearing. But that's a really good public relations front which can be sold to the audience or the punters who pay to come and watch them, be it at the stadium or the on television. So yeah, absolutely. I think every effort has to be done, but again, to do that, you actually need people who have the capacity and capability to write up contracts, set up programs. And look, the reality is some of these athletes who are based overseas, they need to be based overseas because they need to do their training, their nutrition. And it's a lot easier to do that. And also they will have opportunity to contest at a higher level, which will directly correlate to their progression in high performance. Because to me, there's just, unless you're going to take part in a beauty contest for Mrs. World, there's not enough competition in Sri Lanka to be playing at that level playing field. So, for example, if you're an athlete, the easiest thing you can do is you go overseas to a place like America. If you're a sprinter, go, example, Santa Monica Track Club. Get yourself a contract, train with some. It's a lifestyle. It's your job. You do your thing, and then when the time comes, you compete under the Sri Lankan banner. Make sure you meet your times, and then when you go for high performance competitions, i.e., Commonwealth Games or the Olympics, of course you have to qualify for it. You run under the Sri Lankan banner, and if you win a medal, I'm sure the country will own him or her as their own, as we have seen a number of times. Whenever someone with anything to do with Sri Lanka is appointed to something, the first thing the media does is own him or her with both open hands, which is a fantastic thing. So the reality is, man, we just got to do that. I mean, for example, if you got rugby, look at the Japanese Rugby Football Union, the amount of naturalized Tongans, New Zealanders, Samoans, and very soon, you'll see another horde of South Africans coming in, is huge. And that has been one of their strategic methods of competing at a higher level. So you can't kind of go away from that model. You just learn from it. It's in Sri Lanka, it's what you call importing talent.
Yeah.
But it works. You can't deny that. And there are so many talented athletes in other countries who won't make the cut. That opportunity is always there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are more or less on the same page, Bo. I think I feel that the world sporting trends are changing. It's a changing world, and we can't have a fixed mindset and say that this is what we did 30 years ago, and we should stick to it, and we should absorb. And I wholeheartedly, I wish all these athletes who are embarking on new sports and getting qualified to an Olympic event, I think which is unimaginable. I think that's Boa, you have played the game at the highest level, how hard it is even to qualify or even to be recognized at Olympic level. There's forget it. That's phenomenal. To me, that I think any athlete's ultimate dream to take part in Olympics. That's even as I was talking to you about the Last Dance, the Dream Team, when they played, when some of those guys were interviewed, and when they were asked what's the highlight of their career, I think perhaps most of them said taking part at the Olympics. If I'm not mistaken, 1992 Olympics, that the Dream Team,
Barcelona.
That was in Barcelona. I think they won the gold medal. I think which they talk very highly of. I think it's a massive moment in any athlete's life. So if anyone, unfortunately, I don't know. There some people had arguments with me. Some agreed, some did not agree with my sentiments. I'm more or less with you, and I think I wish them all the very best, and they should have all our blessings to represent the country and bring glory if at all. And good luck to them. And big hi to Ranga. We're being there, supporting us. Uday, Sajid, he's still around. Ajit, oh my God, he's still listening to us, boy.
Wow.
Credit must go to all these people for being online and listening to us.
Thanks, guys. That's very it's really nice to know that we're just not talking to each other, and all you guys are listening, and hopefully we're talking a bit of sense, and it's an interesting topic, and we have our own opinions, and it's perfectly fine to disagree with each other. Some of you may agree with us, some of you may not. That's fine too, because that's what makes for a constructive discussion, and that's what we're doing here.
Hopefully. Yeah, that's the whole idea. I think a bit more interaction would have been nice, but Bo, as I said, the people's mindset at the moment, that they are not truly, they are not very sure of what's in store for them come tomorrow, and many places locking down. That's every minute updates coming. Few parts of the island, closing down, reopening. So there's a bit of uncertainty. So we got to understand people. So the reason why you and I decided to have this show, to get people's minds off, what's happening on a day-to-day basis and have a little chit chat and bring some laughter, just keep it in a lighter way. And it's great, Boa. I'm relieved that I'm back on, and we did not talk about like what really transpired the last time. You and I and Rosanna, we tried to have a chat, and someone tried to hack the feed, and that I got blocked, and I had to go through a lot, writing to Facebook many times to get my restrictions.
It felt like the KGB were looking over us for whatever reason. Yeah, interesting coincidence. But look, I'm just happy that you've been allowed back online and you've got your feed back online. And it's always nice to be on the show because it's very interactive. I can speak my mind, and you're a very respectful host in that sense, and you have a good following as well. So that's really nice to be on the show.
Boa, it's always a pleasure talking to you, mate, and it's a pleasure listening to you, and because you have so much to offer, and especially people don't realize how hard it is for a Sri Lankan to go out of our shows and go elsewhere to establish himself and to be recognized among that their communities, and to contribute something and make a living and a respectful living, and you have done well, Boa. And also that the people do not understand or perhaps don't realize what a fighter you are, that a guy who has gone through so much in life, and that you are one guy who have overcome many obstacles, and you should be a living example. And if you really know your story, what's happening this pandemic is nothing what you underwent, but today here you are talking to me.
It was interesting times. Look, I look back at it, and it was a great experience. And this might sound funny, yes, but it's probably the best thing which ever happened to me, because really opened my eyes. And speaking of pandemic, one thing I can say is, anyone listening out there, one thing you can do, tangible, which will actually make your life better, is get online and pick a skill. That's right, pick a skill which you think is going to make your life better over the next 30 days if you learn a new skill. So, for example, when we went down into a lockdown here, one of the things I learned was Photoshop, graphic design. I spent about 5 weeks self-taught, and I was just obsessed with learning it because I wanted to do little flyers and graphics, because I help my son. He's on the verge of starting his own YouTube channel, which is teaching kids how to invest as an online platform. Real simple stuff on how to invest. So I'm kind of doing I'm just being the good father, doing all the graphics and stuff. So what I did was I learned that new skill. So everyone out there listening, if you're in a situation where you're doing it a bit tough, you've got a bit of time on your hands, don't feel bad, don't feel down for yourself, don't sulk, don't sit on your backside and feel sorry for yourself. Do something productive, learn a new skill, and use that skill so you could utilize it into creating a revenue stream. It's a pretty simple strategy, guys, because most things actually happen online now. So there's really a lesson to be learned here.
Well said, Bo. I think that's the reason why we wanted to have this show. If we can contribute something, something productive, in our own small way for people who are listening out there, because there are many people. I'm sure that the guys from States, they probably will watch the feed in a little while once you and I go off the air, and rest of the guys over a period of time, they'll all look into it, and if they go through the program that we kept on emphasizing, what you could do in a situation like this, how you could make your time and spend it productively, and make it count. That's all you could do, because we don't know how long we are going to be in this state. I think this is very obvious. It is not all gloom and doom, but I think that's perhaps that's reality. But it's good to see Europe, Australia, New Zealand coming back. I saw massive celebrations in Brussels, Spain, the people are coming out of curfew kind of scenario after 6 months. It's good to see people out there, but it's sad to see that people rioting and fighting with police. That that people should to learn to control their emotions and actions. That we all saw what happened in India, and we all saw what happened in Sri Lanka. People going berserk and the consequences, subsequent consequences, where it's going to end. So people got to be sensible. And Boa, any parting words before we say bye on a very interesting chat? And big thank you to Caryll and Deepa, with a short notice for being online. Mainly Boa, this is your show, and what you got to say.
Well, look, the glass is never half empty; it's always half full. Yeah, the glass is always half full. So there's always opportunity there, guys. And some of you, I know, probably doing it a bit tough. This whole pandemic thing, it's not going to last forever. It will end, and vaccinations will come along, and there will be an effective cure one way or the other. And I don't know when or how that's going to happen because I'm not a immunology expert, nor do I have a crystal ball. But what I can tell you is, be productive with your time, and be always try and think that something good is out there. Like, good example is one thing I used to do when I used to run a few successful businesses, and when I'd get a phone call from a number I didn't know, I'd always, in my head, I'd go, this is it, this is the big one. I'm anticipating that someone is trying to ring me and give me some new business. 9 times out of 10, it wasn't. It was someone ringing me up with a problem, or the bank manager saying, hey, you've got an overdraft pending, you're 6 days over, what are you going to do with it? But I guess what I'm trying to say is, always be energetic and enthusiastic about what lies ahead. You can very easily go into a little shell, and the little person in your head saying all sorts of nasty, negative things in your head. Just be really, just be happy that you're here, and be energetic, because when you're energetic, it gives positive vibes to people around you, particularly your immediate loved ones. That's might be your wife, your kids, your siblings, your parents, and then they just feed off of that energy. So don't ever knock yourself down. Always pick yourself up, dust yourself off the canvas, and just keep fighting.
That's the way it is, isn't it? You may fall, but you get up and run. That's what life is all about. You're not going to lie down and just give it all up. That's not what life is. That life may throw challenges at you, but just overcome. And as we spoke earlier, that live in the moment. So everything hopefully should be all right. And breathe hard, stay safe, and take care. Boa, it's always a pleasure. And big thank you to all those viewers out there, and everyone else who's going to join us in days and weeks to come. Because this feed will be there and forever, and I will not be taking it off. Boa, until next time, and that we'll meet up again. Thanks a lot. It's always very, what can I say, insightful and enjoyable talking to you. You're a great guy, and wish you nothing but the best. And we'll catch up soon, mate. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
And thanks again to everyone.
Likewise, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll catch up soon.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot. See you, bro.
Are we off it?